I can't hear anything. Is it just me? It might just be me though.
Well, you should at least hear something
Oh,
now.
I can hear it. Yeah.
They won't obey their parents, they just want to fight and curse! Should we blame the government or blame society?
Okay, yeah, now I can hear.
No! Blame Canada! Blame Canada!
Oh, I hear myself though.
Beady little eyes are flapping heads among the lies. Blame Canada! Blame Canada! We need to form a full assault! Canada's fault! Don't blame me for my son Stan. He saw the darn cartoon and now he's
Okay.
off to join the clan. And my boy Eric once had my picture on his shelf, but now when I see him, it tells me to fuck myself. Well, blame Canada! Blame Canada! It seems that everything's gone wrong since Canada came along. Blame Canada! Blame Canada!
They're not even a real country anyway.
My son could have been a doctor or a lawyer, rich and true. Instead, he burned up like a piggy on a barbecue.
Should we blame the matches? Should we blame the fire? Or the doctors who allowed it to expire?
Heck no! Blame Canada! Blame Canada! With all the hockey hullabaloo and that bitch Anne Marie too. Blame Canada! Shame on Canada! Oh, the smoke must start, the trash must dash, the laughter and fun must all be undone. We must blame them and cause a fuss before somebody thinks of blaming us. Josh, can you hit that tree?
All right, now the jumbling and trying to get back into this. Hold on, I think I'm coming through your speakers.
Uh oh. Uh oh.
Yeah, I am.
Wait. Okay, stand by. Oh. How the heck do I fix that?
You probably turn your speakers down a little bit. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you hear yourself?
Pra-da-da-da. I think we're good.
Okay.
Okay. Welcome in, everyone. Sorry, Dom fucked that up. But this is my deathversary. 5 years since my cardiac arrest event. So here, just like I do every year, to talk about mental health issues, just fucked up things that go on. I brought on my lovely guest, my favorite Canadian, Dom. Dom, would you care to talk about yourself a little bit?
I do enjoy talking about myself. Thank you. I'm Dom. I am Canadian. I'm 31-year-old lady. I am not a professional in mental health, but I've been going to therapy for 6 years now, almost 6 years, 5 years, and I've been on medication for probably 10 years going now. Been through some shit, definitely not as traumatic as what you've experienced. But,
well, that's relative, and I have some.
Yeah, it depends on the person, but
Yeah.
it has inflicted a lot of trauma. So
Yes, so I knew this would come up. I almost anticipated you saying this, and I would imagine most people would say that. I saw this. This is actually something a Green Beret said. Those guys well, any like military, special forces guys like that, they are going to be riddled with PTSD with things that they've done, seen, what have you. And the guys that are going to therapy now, one of their therapists said this, and I thought this was great, is, and actually The Simpsons kind of have this in one of their older episodes, is not everyone goes through the same life experiences. We've all go through traumatic things, and some of us don't ever get to the level of traumatic instances that others do. Let's say someone's worst thing that ever happened to them in life, and it really puts their stress level at 100, could be a car accident, where other people like me who's had a death experience, or someone that's like a military operator who's killed people, seen dead bodies. It's these horrible like acts of human terribleness. That's their levels. Like, we're all at these levels, and those are, to us, the worst things that ever happened. And to go back and be like, well, oh, you're just a car accident, your trauma is not as legit as my trauma. It's taken me a little bit to realize that. Because I've had people say shit like that to me, and I'm like, you broke your arm, like, and that's what fucked you up.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, the male bullshit in me just goes, well, you're a pussy. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I, like, now when I walk myself back and look through it, I go, well, I'm kind of happy for that person. Because if that's the worst thing that ever happens to them, that's great. Yeah. Because we all...
Do you feel some type of guilt sometimes when you have that initial reaction? I've had that reaction where, like, if I see someone who's like has a regular heartbreak, whereas for me it was very traumatic with a lot of abuse in it, I'm like, well, you just went through a heartbreak. But then I feel like some type of guilt to be like, oh my god, like, why do I feel like this way towards this person? Because again, I don't know their threshold.
Yeah, I do. I have felt, I guess, some guilt in judging someone, because excuse me, I've never outwardly been like, oh, but you haven't experienced real trauma. You know what I mean? I've never outwardly, but like, just to myself, I've been like, you're kind of a dick for thinking that. I mean, just not in this instance, but most things, I'm just like, if someone has a take I don't like on something, I'm like, oh, like, everyone's knee-jerk reaction is to judge. But it's your ability to walk yourself back and be like, okay, well, why do they think like that? Try to see it from their point of view. Even at the end, if you don't still agree with it, like, you can at least, like, maybe find common ground and be like, okay, this person isn't a horrible person for thinking this. They just don't think like you do. So, just like with politics and a lot of things, it's like, well, okay, I don't agree with that, but like, why do they think like that opposed to mine? Or maybe my views will change. But being able to walk it back is, especially in like terms of tragedy that happened in your life and judging other people on it. I think if you can't walk it back, you're probably a shitty person.
You can't do the work. You can't deconstruct where your prejudices
Prejudi
are coming from.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of that has come with age, though, too. Like, I've noticed, like, just like since I was 25, every 5 years I seem to be changing as a person. Mm-hmm. Just because I'm experiencing things. Like, the person you are at 32 or 31, I thought you were in your 40s.
I know, I look great for my age.
Like, you, like, in the next 3 or 4 years, like, you may not have the same ideas. I mean, you'll probably still have some core ones, but, like, other things you'd be like, I was probably wrong about that. Like, I'm doing that a lot now. Like, perfect example, I was super, super duper gung-ho about vaccinations and things, and now I'm not so much, being hindsight. I don't judge people that still get them. I got them. They almost took me out. So that's a personal thing that I went through with it. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, Now I probably wouldn't have been like, oh, you have to get a shot. Like now I'm just like, well, it's not my thing, so I'm not going to judge people who still do it, which my parents and my entire family does, and they've all had COVID. I have not, as far as I know. So that just showed how much like I changed. It's just like, okay, I was one of those people like, you have to do this, to where I'm like, nah, just everyone should just do their own thing, and just be careful and not spit in each other's mouths, and just clean your fucking hands. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it is a choice, but no matter what, it can come with consequences.
Yeah.
Whether or not you take it, there will be probably consequences.
Yeah, and it almost killed me, and like a year after my first thing. So, and that was a personal choice, and I learned in the last 5 years, like to walk a lot of shit back. And just so I'm gonna do a quick recap before we get any further of what happened to me 5 years ago. So starting the day before this, I wasn't feeling good. I was still a smoker. Went home from work, got up from a nap, went to light a cigarette, coughed, broke a rib. Didn't have my phone on me. It was in the basement. I was trying to use Alexa to call my family members. No one answered their phones. Eventually, I don't know who I got a hold of, but I had to have them, because at the time you couldn't use Alexa to call 911. So I had to have them call 911 for me. Squad comes. I have an ER, like literally I could throw a baseball and hit it from my house. I go over there and they tell me, obviously I broke a rib, and they tell me I have pneumonia in my upper left lung. And they asked me if I want to be admitted, and I said yes, but I have to be taken to a level 1 trauma, which is the closest one is downtown. I sat there for 7 hours in the same position with a broken rib. They gave me 1 Percocet, and that was it for the broken rib. 7 hours later, I get downtown. It's probably about 2-3 in the morning. I get a nurse who, this is the only time I will ever say this in my entire life. If I were ever to see this woman, I'd probably punch her in the face. And I don't condone men hitting women, but I was in extreme pain, and I asked her for some pain meds, and she says, no, you're probably a junkie. So I'm like, what the fuck? And I never saw her ever again after that moment. So shift changes to 7 in the morning. I get my new nurse. I made a complaint about this nurse. I had a roommate at the time, another person. He was in there for pneumonia too. He actually probably one of the people that saved my life. But I got up to pee. On my way back to my bed, I fell face first into the bed because I was coughing. I couldn't stop coughing. And it was like a sword going down through my shoulder blade into my chest. Like, it was very painful, and the coughing made it worse. So I'm like I can't reach anything. My arms are like straight out. I'm face down in the bed, and I was able to get my face up because it was like I was frozen, but just still coughing. And the guy got called the nurse in. She comes in, they put a BP on me and everything, and she goes, "You're gonna make a lot of friends real fast." They think I'm having a heart attack. So the RATS team comes in, they get me all, they're all set up, and doctor gives me the nitro pill. It's generally what they do to treat heart attack symptoms. I always thought like nitro, you think speed up, right? But what it actually does is slow your heart down if you're having a heart attack. Well, they give me the nitro in less than a minute. This is the last thing I remember is I shoot up out of the bed and I grab the doctor's arm. And I go, I don't feel good. And the next thing I know is I'm fighting off the guy doing chest compressions. My heart has stopped. So I fight the guy off me. The poor nurse, I'm just trying not to get choked up, but the poor nurse was clutched onto my arm, crying. And I just look at her and I go, "Are you okay?" And she goes, "You're fine, baby. You're fine."
No.
And I took my other hand and I put it on hers and I go, "You're okay." And I go, "What happened?" And they're like, "Your heart stopped." And I go, "Oh, that sucks." So.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So they're like, "We got to get you out of here. We don't know why your heart stopped." And I'm like, "Okay." So my mom is the best person at showing up at the most inappropriate times. So she was walking up. She was coming down because I was in the hospital. She's walking up as I'm dead. One side note is right before all this happened, like a chaplain came up and he goes, "Hey, I'm the chaplain," and I'm like, "Oh, this can't be good." Mm-hmm. You know, why are you talking? He's like, "Is there anyone you want me to call?" And I go, "I want my mom." Mm-hmm. So my brain knew I was dying. Yeah. So, so they bring me back to life. On my way out, I see her and I was like, "I love you." Get me down to another MRI or a CT scan, X-rays. All my ribs are broken. I could barely breathe in. So they find out that I have I think it's pneumo or hemothorax, whichever one means blood. If you didn't know, your chest cavity is actually hollow. There's nothing in there. It allows your lungs to expand and close. Yeah. So mine is filled with blood. They're thinking the first rib I broke the day before just broke a blood vessel and had been filling up with blood for half a day. Mm-hmm. So they're like, okay. They put me in ICU. They put me in ICU. They go, "Listen, we have to give you a chest tube." I'm like, okay. They're like, "But we can't put you under because you could die again." I'm like, "What if I don't do this?" They're like, "You're going to still die." Yeah. I'm like, "So there's no way of getting out." So like, "No. Like, we have to do this." I'm like, fuck. So, I have a very long but short, very direct conversation with the surgeon. He's like, "We can't even move you anywhere. We have to do it right here." I'm like, okay. So, dude, literally, I'm signing the papers to do the surgery that I might not live through. And here my mom walks right up. And I'm like, oh my God, I couldn't even look at her. I'm just like, oh. Because I just, there was a chance I wasn't going to live through this. So I looked at the chaplain, which was now a female chaplain. I talked to her, not my mom. But, I couldn't look at my mom. Mm-hmm. I just go, "I love you, but you got to go." They're going to stick a tube in my chest. So.
Yeah, she doesn't want to see that.
Yeah. They wouldn't have let her stay in the room anyways. But, so, they leave. They start prepping me. They start cutting me open, which they did give me local for that, and then they're breaking. The thing with that is, in between your ribs, you have muscles, right? Well, they have to take their finger and just rub it and break down the muscle a little bit. Me and the nurse were getting real chummy with each other. They gave me Dilaudid, which is a step below fentanyl. They gave me as much as I could. I wasn't even feeling high from it. That's how much pain I was in. Yeah. And so this guy's just he's cutting me and he's fingering my fucking ribs. And so as he's doing that, and my arm's up like this, and the surgeon was a robot, by the way. Just very concise, didn't talk. He's got his finger in between my ribs. And I go, "Y'all hungry?" And the nurse I've been chumming it up with, just saying horrible things to, we're just making each other laugh. He just walked out of the curtain, he stuck his head back in, and he goes, "Why?" And I'm like, "Y'all want to go for ribs after this?"
Oh my God.
The surgeon started laughing, and he's just his fingers going in, just fucking poking me. And so and the guy's like, stop. You gotta stop. I'm like, okay, I got you, bud. So then it comes to the tube part, and he goes, I'm gonna count. I go, don't. Just fucking do it. I just said, just fucking do it. It was extremely painful. I didn't go out. It was an instant. I just saw white. Everything flashed white, and it was over. Like that. Like the 1 or 2 seconds, like, was fucking horrible. Mm-hmm. It was the worst thing. But I immediately felt pressure off of my chest. My heart could start pumping regularly. And one thing that I argue with a few people, they're like, oh, so you had a heart attack. I'm like, I didn't have a heart attack. There's no damage to my heart. It was quite literally, my heart was crushed underneath blood, and they slowed my heart down so much that it stopped. So if you could imagine, that's a very traumatic thing. Now, like, I spend like 4 days in there. They're pumping blood out of my chest. I go home for 4 days. I go the fourth night. I actually went and took a pistol course, and I still got a hole in my side. Just it's something I paid for like 6 months ago, and I'm like, I'm not fucking losing out on this money. Went and did it. It felt like I would cough, and it felt like I was still getting pressure. Well, I would try to go back to work the next day. I went for a follow-up appointment. As I was getting out of the truck, I broke more ribs. Just getting out of the truck, my chest filled back.
Literally a week after.
Yeah, my chest filled back up with blood.
You went back to work.
Yeah.
That to me is insane.
Yeah, American healthcare is a fucking joke, and companies. My company was just like, I go, can I go on short-term disability? And they're like, no, we won't pay you.
That's insane.
I didn't even have insurance.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So on top of that, like, when you go through something like that, you don't give a fuck about the bills.
Yeah, at that point.
You're like, I'm lucky to be alive, so I don't give a shit. So I went to go back to work, and I ended up back in the hospital. I get chest tubing in. Luckily, I got to be put out for the second one, but they kept me in for 2 weeks longer to make sure I was actually healing up. And so yeah, I ended up with 1 year later. I actually, right when COVID started, I talked to a psychiatrist. I was diagnosed with PTSD, agoraphobia, anxiety-induced panic attacks, which was from the PTSD, and a few other things. And it fucked me up because, like, exactly a year later is when the COVID hit. So no, almost 2 years later, like, is when I talked to a psychiatrist. So, like, I ended up with, like, a lot of people got fucked up from COVID just from the experiences we all had, being secluded and just your fear for we didn't know what the fuck was going on, you know. So, like, I had all that shit compounded on it.
It just increased everything, I bet.
Oh yeah, like, I could only imagine, like, if I didn't go through that, like, what would have happened? Like, would I would still have been like a fucking neurotic mess I am now, or you know? And I mean, one thing, my girlfriend left me because of that happening. She was 10 years younger than me. She's like 25 when I met her, and she's like, well, I don't want to be in a relationship with a guy that's gonna be sick. And I'm like, fair enough. I go, I can't blame her for that. She picked a shitty time to do it, but
yeah.
So yeah, and it was kind of funny talking to that psychiatrist. Like, she's like, she actually went, holy shit. She's like, you've been through a lot. And I'm like, yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's, in a nutshell, like, that's my top level experience.
Yeah.
and like I said at the top, like I don't like judging people for like, because I know you've had nothing like that happen. I think you've probably had just like a lot of fucked up experiences, right? That you're willing to talk about.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Definitely nothing like that. To me, like, it's hard for me to even imagine what your situation was, because even on my side of things, like if I look at the Canadian system, like healthcare system, like we would never have that kind of trauma in the way that we would have to go back to work, not even a week after such a traumatic event, and everything that comes with not having insurance and having to pay for that. Like that's such a huge toll. Like you went through something physically and emotionally traumatic, but also something that not only affects your, like you almost died, and then the country comes after you being like, all right, you gotta pay up, which literally could take everything from you and kill you.
Now,
That's crazy.
Medical debt cannot affect our credit scores.
But still, like,
Now, I haven't paid zero, by the way. I have paid zero of it. I can tell you just from that, it was $130,000. And they kept asking me to pay it, and I kept telling them to go fuck themselves. And magically, it went away. That one did.
okay.
Because here's another fucked up thing is, like, I tried suing them
Okay.
for malpractice. Because, like, what happened to me shouldn't have happened. Like they literally just thought like, oh, you broke your rib, you have pneumonia, we'll just look after you. Like there was like 12 hours where you guys just left me in a room by myself.
Yeah.
You know, like you should have done another X-ray or something, but you thought I had a heart attack, which I didn't. Which ended up you gave me something that stopped my heart and like all this other bullshit. But what's fucked up is I talked to a lot of lawyers and they're just like, I'm not touching that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh fuck, you know, like because a lot of them have probably work for the health like it's the largest system in Ohio, health care system in Ohio, and they're like, it's probably conflict of interest or they just know it's not worth the time or money.
Yeah.
Or I'd just be paying out and no matter what I would lose. I'm like, well, I guess I gotta kind of respect that, but at the same time, it's like it's kind of fucked up that.
Oh yeah.
That the healthcare system, they made an oops. I don't think it was on purpose, but a mistake was made, and you know I'm left holding this fucked up baggage. So, you know, obviously I want to be compensated for it, and it didn't happen. So, I think that's why they wiped that debt out for me. It's probably someone looked into it because I kept asking for the records around that time, and they always had an excuse of why I wasn't allowed to have them. Like, well, we got to do this. And I'm like, okay, well, what do I got to do to fix that? Well, you have to do this. And I do that. And they're like, well, we can't do it that way. You got to do it this way. And I'm like, okay.
So shady.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, healthcare, just in my opinion, is a fucking racket. I mean, if you make almost trillions of dollars in profit every year, you know.
Yeah, no, I've heard so many stories, especially when it comes to, like women's health and pregnancy in the U.S., how they literally rush pregnant women to have C-sections because it's faster, so they can have multiple pregnant women in a day give birth, and because it's more expensive, so they get more money out of it.
I did not know that, but I've heard almost a similar thing about oncology, about people with cancer, is they push you to do chemo. Yeah. Like,
not even surprised.
And chemo is like, well, we're just gonna kill you faster, like, or more painful. Like, does it cure people? Yeah, but a lot of times it's just a more painful death, which I bet you there's a cure out there, but there's no money in a cure.
For sure. If we're gonna talk about like conspiracy theories, for sure there's a cure for cancer. Absolutely. They don't want to give it to us.
Yeah, there's no money in a cure. There's
There is
money in
no
treatment.
money in a cure. We'll never have it.
Yeah, they just keep you live long enough to
Exactly.
get all the money from you, and then they let you die.
So, like, I can't imagine, like, so many stories. The U.S. is known to be, like, the country, right? And it calls itself the top country, like, the most powerful country in the world. And they can't even provide, like, free healthcare and, like, good health services and pay. Because I know, obviously doctors make a lot of money, but a lot of nurses and people that work in hospitals don't get paid enough. And it contradicts itself.
Yeah, 100%.
It's insane.
I mean, I got a lot of friends that are nurses, a handful that are doctors. Obviously, the doctors are. One of them I graduated with. She has her own practice now, and her husband's also a doctor. So they have money,
Oh, yeah.
but they're good people though. But my friends who are nurses, they do make good money, but they don't make enough.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah.
They should make way fucking more. It's kind of like what I do for a living. Like, I work a very, very dangerous job, and I don't get paid anywhere, in my opinion, enough to do it.
Do you have, like, in your salary, like an extra bonus because it's a dangerous job?
No.
Like, do they offer that?
No. Even like when before starting the stream, I was telling you about, like, when I was on call all last week for emergency calls. There's no extra benefit to that. It's just more hours. It's you get to wake me up at 12:30 in the morning, even though I only been asleep for 2 hours. You have to go drive however long it is to get to where this thing happened. Do your job. Drive back, which you probably end up getting another call on the way back to your house. And because it's considered, like, winter is a slow season for what we do. Once you get close to overtime, they just go, "Oh, you're done for the week." So getting you up out of bed, out of dead sleep, doing shit like that, and there's no extra benefit other than it's your job, it's fucking nuts. I mean, I don't know if I've brought this up in your stream, but, like, in the past 6 months, I found 2 dead bodies.
Yeah, you did mention that. Yeah.
Yeah, one was 100% sure I knew was dead, but there was a child, and I waited till the cops got there. The other one, I left it to the people who knew they were out there to do a 100% check. I couldn't tell if the person was breathing or not. I just went, "Hey, what the fuck's the deal going on out here?" They're like, "Oh, that's the coworker. She's been out there since blah blah blah." I'm like, she doesn't look like she's alive. She's like, "Oh, she's fine." I'm gonna go, and I just went, "You guys are pieces of shit."
Mm-hmm.
Like, obviously they're probably nodded off from heroin, probably dead. That one I didn't call the cops on because I have a family member that OD'd like 4 years ago, and upsetting. I love him. I miss him every day, but, like, he did that to himself and left his daughter behind. So it's a dumb, selfish act to do shit like that. So I didn't feel bad for that, but I had to do something about the child. I couldn't walk away from that one. But no, that fucks you up. Like,
I bet. My God.
It's just,
You didn't sign up for this.
no. Even with, like, when I did pest control before that, like, I had to check to see if a child was alive one time, and that still bothers me, even though the child was alive. But he was, like, curled up in a blanket in front of a floor heater, and he had cockroaches crawling on his face and shit. And I'm just like, please don't let this kid be dead. And I went and I turned him over, and he woke up, and I'm like, holy fuck. I was like, I gotta go. And I'm upset with, the only thing that I regret about that is I didn't call Child Protective Services on that one. But, you know, as far as I know, the kid's alive today, hopefully doing well. But yeah, and that also was after this bullshit 5 years ago. So I've been working crazy jobs that don't help with mental health issues. you know, and that's fucked up. And it's crazy. Oh, and actually, I have not told you this. I kind of been keeping this on the download because I wanted to tell you this. If you had agreed to do this, and I wanted to do this live. Is I stopped taking my sertraline like 3 months ago.
Yeah, we did have a little chat about that.
Yeah, I stopped taking it. The side effects were causing, because I don't know if they cause like chest pains with you or like they were with me, and with my shit, like any pain that I have, I immediately go, am I dying? Like, am I having a heart attack? Am I having a stroke? And I knew part of the problem was taking sertraline, and that's one of the side effects was like having chest pains or like spasms. And I was sick of all my other emotions being capped. Do you feel like that?
Yeah,
Like-
I've struggled a lot with medication. So the first time I got on medication, probably 10 years ago, and I started with sertraline. And I think I was at 100 milligrams, mg. I think it's milligrams.
It's milligrams, yeah.
And then it was fine for a while, and then I noticed, and the only way that I could describe it was that I was like a zombie. I was getting through the day, but I was not remembering anything. There was no highs, there was no lows. It was just like in a zombie state. Like I was.
You're on autopilot
like,
going through your day.
Yeah, so you know how like zombies just have one goal in mind, and it's to get to the brains and the meat? For me, it was just to get through the day, and there was nothing else. And when I realized that, I went to my doctor, and I was like, I don't like feeling that way. And so we tried Wellbutrin, something like that.
Yeah, I think
Just
that's
another
correct.
type,
Yeah.
but it's more for anxiety.
Yeah.
Hated that. Absolutely hated that. Tried different dosage. Hated it. And then I went back on sertraline, but at 50 milligrams,
Okay.
which,
Did they start you off at 100 the first time you took it?
yeah,
They didn't wean you on it?
no.
See, they weaned me on it when I started. They started off at 25, or no, 50. 50 for a week. Then 100 for 2 weeks. And then to 150 after that.
Yeah, no, I went straight to 100. That was when I was self-harming. So my doctor he wanted
Were you a
to-
cutter?
Yeah.
My ex-girlfriend, the one that broke up with me after I got sick, she was a cutter.
Yeah, funny thing that happened maybe like 2 weeks ago. I was cleaning my bedroom, and I was putting stuff away in my drawer, and I found the box where I used to keep the blade, and I opened it, and there's still a blade, and I was not able to throw it away. It's still in my drawer.
Oh.
Yeah, I haven't cut in at least like I would say 3 years, but it's there, and it's so fucked up that it brings me some type of like comfort. And you're the first person to know that. My mom doesn't know. No one knows that it's still there, but it's gonna stay there.
Well, I guess if it can bring you some lethargic thing, just to know it's there, but you're not doing it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes, yeah.
I can't argue that fact. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
no one that knows you wants you to do that, right? Like,
Yeah, of course.
but if it's there and you're not going to do it, but it brings you kind of solace or whatever it is, like, yeah, fucking just do it. Like, keep it there.
Yeah. But it's so fucked up, like, when you think about it. And even, like, if I were to cut again, I wouldn't use that blade because it's all rusty, right? It's disgusting. I would never put that. I would get a new one. But just the box and seeing it in there, because I use razor blades, which I don't buy, like, I buy a razor and I break down the razor. It's a whole process. And
Yeah.
then I get these tiny little blades. So it's one of those. And so yeah, it's in there, and I did not know that it was there up until like 2 weeks ago, and I saw it and I was like, and I closed it, and I was like,
Your brain shut it off to you.
what?
It seems like your brain shut it off to you.
Yeah. It was like, I know I should throw it, but I put it back, and it's still there.
Oh, as long as you don't use it. Like I said, it's I don't know. I guess I can attribute that to like me having guns. Then this is where I can make a comparison with you. Is when I was a really bad drinker, there was a point where I wanted to kill myself.
Okay.
And I would sit there with a pistol in my hand, just going, just do it, just do it, just fucking do it. And obviously I never did it. And that's when I was like drinking so bad, like it was killing me. And when I went on my family jumped in, stopped me. I didn't drink for 2 years, period. Not a single drop, nothing.
Was that before or after your...
That was when I was 28. So 28 to 30, I didn't have a drop of alcohol.
Okay.
Like, I guess like where we come from, like in high school, we all started drinking and partying, and it just kept getting worse because like with my age group and where I grew up, like being the best partier was like who you wanted to be that fucking cool guy. And I threw parties and shit, and people would show up and they're like, "Oh, Melcher threw the best parties," and blah blah blah, and you know, like I was proud of that at one point in my life, and but you know, going in my 20s, I dropped out of college twice. You know, I worked full-time jobs both times, factories, working in school systems. Was the worst time when I started getting real dark, because I would literally go to Chicago for a week. I'd be in Detroit, all over the Midwest working, and all there is to do after working 12, 13 hours, 16-hour days is go get fucked up. And we'd all just go to the bar and we'd drink fucking crazy. So, and it got to the point where I just wanted, like, I knew my body was like, nah, I'm just going to start killing you. Mm-hmm. And when you're a heavy drinker, I don't know if you've ever been a substance abuser, but like at some point, like you just want it to end. And if you're addicted to shit, like that's one way of seeing out your way out of it, is just killing yourself. Mm-hmm. So I thought that for a while, which I thought I forgot about that for the longest time. Which I've been like, some of my other problems have been coming, like I've just been thinking about shit, like the shit with the family bullshit. You know, I've told you one thing, but that I won't explain it here, but like you're like one of the only people outside of who was in that room that knew what happened that day. You and one other person know about it. And you know, a lot of that shit I forgot about. You know, that thing that happened, I was like 30 years old when that happened. Sober. Like that's one thing I won't even tell my brother until that person is no longer with us, because he doesn't need to know that now. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and maybe it's just because I just hit 40 and like I'm having existential crisis. Like, how many years do I actually have left? 5, 10, 3? Mm-hmm. Like, I need to get my shit under control again, lose weight. And like, I got this fucking adorable little redheaded niece, and I got a nephew on the way too now. And it's like, I probably won't ever have kids, but I want to see them grow up.
Yeah.
You know, you have.
You're not doing it for yourself, do it for them.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm trying to compare, like, you're cutting to, like there was a time where I didn't actively, like, hurt myself, but, like, there was a time where I just wanted to die. And it's super scary to think, like, I just had something in my hand that could have just, a split second, could have been done, over with. And, you know, and I would have made a lot of people unhappy. And destroy their lives, but I was strong enough not to do it.
Yeah.
But I kind of get it. I kind of get why you hurt yourself. Like, it's taking the pain, and this is something my ex-girlfriend told me, was like, it's taking the pain away from the other things that are hurting you.
Oh my god. Yep. I had to explain this to my mom. So when I had my burnout in 2018, so what happened is I started a relationship in 2016 with someone, and it was very narcissistically abusive.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a giant cycle where he would love bomb me, then discard me, then love bomb me, then discard me, blah blah blah. It was addicting. There's no other word to say than it was addicting. I never experienced anything with substances, but that is a type of addiction where it fucks up with the endorphins and all of the chemicals in your brain, which gives you highs and lows the same way that drugs do. And so in 2018 I had been through 2 years of that, and we had gotten in a fight. So the whole fight was about the fact that he had a girl best friend, which I don't have any issues with having girlfriends, but that girl was, when he met her, she was 17. He was, I think, 21, 22, and I was 24, 25, and she was 17, a teenager. She was always trying to stir up shit between us, and she would tell him that she was scared of me and all of those things. We were all working together. We were all working for H&M together. And so in 2018,
What's
we
H&M?
got in a fight about her. What?
What's H&M?
H&M? You
Yeah.
don't know what H&M is?
No. That's why I'm
It's
asking.
a clothing store.
Oh, okay.
You don't know H&M?
No.
The big letters? Red letters?
What does it stand
It's a
for?
clothing store.
We could have some here in the States. I don't know.
You definitely do. It's huge.
I think I've heard of it, but I don't think I've ever seen it before.
Oh.
So,
Well, it's a white store with red letters and
like
it's
white
clothing for
people,
everyone.
like,
Oh yeah, it's a European brand.
okay,
I think it's Swedish.
it's
So
not
yeah, we all
a
work.
brand owned by what, Lex Wessner or whatever the fuck his name is.
Oh god, I don't know who that is.
He was one of Jeffrey Epstein's friends.
Oh.
He owns like Buckle, Route 21, Victoria's Secrets, which is based here in Columbus, which I have been to his house before for work, and it is fucking massive.
I bet.
Yeah, I didn't mean to sidetrack you though.
No, it's okay.
You're working at H&M, all three of you.
Yeah, and so she would, whenever I would like enter a room and then leave, she would like say shit, like talk shit about me.
Mm-hmm.
And I had friends that worked there, and they would tell me that, and so I would tell my boyfriend, and he wouldn't believe me. He would always blame me, and I would try to make conversation with her, and she would just not react. There's even a point where we were in a car. Her and I were sitting in the back seat, and so we all got out. There was 4 of us, and I was sitting in the front seat, and she was sitting behind me. And instead of getting out the same side as me, as you should, she
scooted across the
got
back
out.
seat.
She went the other side
Oh,
because she was scared of me. And all of that kind of bullshit. It was very childish, and he would always like coddle her, and then pass me as the monster, basically, which I wasn't.
yeah.
And then so we broke up. We had booked a trip to Cuba. We broke up, and then he was again in that phase of love bombing where he's like, "Oh my god, I love you. I will do everything for you." Blah blah blah. And I was like, "All right, if you want to get back with me, you have to stop talking to her. Like, we've tried for 2 years to make this work. It doesn't fucking work. You're gonna have to choose." I gave him that ultimatum, and he was like, "All right, fine. I'm gonna stop talking to her." And I was like, "But I still don't want you to come to Cuba with me." I was like, "I don't want you there." And anyway, we ended up going together. Turns out, when we were in Cuba, we had a great time, and I was like, "Oh my god, it finally works. Like, this is amazing." And then I found out when we came back, he didn't talk to me for like 2 days after we came back. Turns out he was with her the entire time. when he wasn't supposed to talk to her even. And I found out, and he was like, yeah, like, I actually don't like this, like, I want to bring her back in my life and all of that. And that just broke me. I felt so betrayed, and it was just a culmination. It doesn't sound like it's a lot even when I say it, but it was such a culmination of so many things, and that feeling of betrayal right after we came back from like something that was like a paradise, right? It's Cuba. And I just spiraled, and so we broke up again, and I was like trying to talk him out of it, kind of thing. Make him realize that, it's not going to work if she's there and I'm there. It's not going to work with both of us. He has to choose. And he was like, no, it's going to work, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I came to a point where I wasn't eating, and I had just started my government job. I had just been hired, maybe like a couple weeks. I had been working at the government.
And that's the job you're currently at now, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the way that they hired me first is that they did like something that's called a casual. So they hire you for 90 days, and then they decide if they want to offer you something after that. So it wasn't even something that was like in stone. Like it was like a temporary job.
Yeah, a lot of companies do that here. They'll do a 90-day. That way,
Yeah.
I mean, some companies won't even hire you on directly. They'll just keep you on you'll work for them, but you won't be an employee, so they don't have to give you benefits and bullshit like that. So.
Yeah. So yeah, I had no benefits, and I had just quit H&M. So I was like, I'm gonna drop everything. I was a manager at H&M, so I had like a pretty good job. Not a great salary, but I had a good job. And then I was like, I'm dropping everything to get into the government. I'm gonna risk it all. But then all of that happened at the same time. And I was like stressed with all of that, and I was stressed at the fact that I started a new job, new people, new environment, new stuff that I've never done before. And so all of that was at the same time, and I just stopped eating. I can't, even if I tried to like think of what I was doing in those days, I can't. I have literally no memory of that time.
So your brain is completely black. I'm sure your therapist has tried to like get you to remember it.
Yeah.
And you can't recall any of it? You can't recall?
I can't.
Wow.
I cannot. I can't recall it. The only thing I can think of is the pain. Literally, that's all I can think of. The pain that I felt. And what I remember is one day I was driving back from work, coming back home, and I was in my car. And I was like, this is how I'm going to die. This is how I'm going to do it. I was going to crash my car in, when you're driving on a highway, there's something in the middle that separates. There's like a
it's
wall.
the median, it's a partition wall. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was going to run into that, but at where it meets one of like the like a bridge, there's bridges on top of the highway sometimes.
Yeah, an overpass.
Yeah, the overpass and that little wall. I was going to crash into that corner. I remember that very vividly. And that's when I was like, I cannot be in my car ever again.
Were you cutting then?
I was cutting. Yeah, I was cutting. I had been cutting for a while, for probably like a couple years. And how you said like your ex earlier, she said that you cut to, instead of having the pain be...
You're replacing the pain with physical pain. Yeah.
Physically. For me, it was that, and it was also because I had to, and that's something I deal with my my childhood trauma, if I can call it that, is that I have never felt understood, and I need to be what's the word? What's the word I'm looking for? I need to be. Anyway, that doesn't matter. But I never felt understood my entire childhood. So, for me, when I felt pain that people couldn't see, couldn't understand, I needed to put something tangible about it.
Yeah.
So I cut to show that I was in pain. But not to show others necessarily, but to prove to myself that I was literally in the most pain that I've ever had.
Yeah.
Because I struggle a lot with my self-confidence and my owning who I am, and
Do you still
trusting
struggle with your self-confidence?
I absolutely.
I mean, because you're cocky sometimes.
But that's the persona.
Yeah, I know. I know. You joke about it, like.
Oh,
But like,
God,
serious
no.
question. I was kind of curious, like, if you still.
But that's how I got. That persona I built when I was in high school and I was getting a little bit bullied by boys. Is to be cocky and to make fun of myself.
Yeah.
That way it doesn't, like, they stop bullying me kind of thing. So I grew into that, and I made it my funny persona. But
Is that maybe why you believe a little bit in bullying?
oh yeah.
Okay.
Well, not necessarily for that. There's some people that need to be bullied.
I agree with
For
that.
example, bullies need to be bullied.
Yeah. I think there's a certain amount of bullying everyone should go through, because if you don't and you become an adult, like, let's say you're 25 and no one's ever talked horrible to you or talked shit to you or, like, talked down to you,
Yeah.
you're in a world of fucking hurt. Like,
Oh yeah. But that's not fair. That's not fair that the world works like that. So I don't think
No,
that
you're right.
everyone should get bullied, but I feel certain people should get bullied
yeah.
for their ideas and stuff like that. To bring a little bit of shame and thinking behind their stuff. But I don't think everyone should get bullied. That's two different things, in my opinion.
I think it's all dependent. Like, obviously, if you heard, like, my friend that called me up yesterday and we were having a conversation, and he used to be very rah, America, USA, USA. And I know I give that persona off when I'm in people's chats and shit, just because I'm American. I'm usually the only American there, so I think it's funny. But when people actually sit down and talk with me, they don't realize I'm not that quintessential American.
Yeah.
Jamie thought that at first. He thought I was just some rude American, but I sat down with him and his family, and he realized that, oh, you're not the way the world makes you all look to be. He goes, yeah, you're. I have American qualities. I'm American. It's gonna happen. Just like you have Canadian qualities. But I'm not that. Like, I actually care about people, no matter where you're at. Like, I'm sure, like, when you started talking to me off air today, which is one of the first times me and you have talked off air in person, not just through text. You were probably, I'm thinking maybe taken a little aback because I wasn't probably being the way you thought I was going to be. I'm assuming.
Because we've talked, like, through text, I didn't expect it, because I know that you're also putting that persona in chat.
Yeah.
And I'm used to that. I'm used to people doing those things because I do it. So I think I can see through that. So I wasn't very surprised.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying, because Jamie was real surprised.
He's British. Come on.
Yeah. And I think
he's posh. He's tough.
Yeah, he's a posh. And I think all our governments do horrible, and just our news in general do horrible. Like, just the way they put us all out in the world, or how they allow us to see each other. Like, a lot of Americans aren't bad people. They don't.
Yeah.
We actually don't believe in a lot of shit our government does.
Yeah,
so, like, we're actually good people. There's a lot of us, and a lot of us do suck, but more of us care than there was. I was going somewhere with this, and I can't. Anyways, what were you saying?
I think I was talking about the underpass. No, I went back to cutting. Anyway, my burnout.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when that day when I was driving back home and I saw that and I was like, this is how I'm gonna do it. The fact that I knew that I had a plan on how I was gonna end my days, I was like, okay, I can't. I only had one cat at that point, and I was like, I can't leave her behind. Literally, the only thing that kept me here is my cat. So I got home that day, and I called my mom. And usually I FaceTime, but that time I called like a phone call.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, and I remember that part. I was like, Mom, I need to come home. And she was like, she panicked. She was like, what's going on? Like, and then I told her how I was feeling. I didn't tell her about the plan and stuff like that, but I was like, I need to come home. I can't do this. I can't be alone. And then she was like, okay, then like obviously like come home, like pack up your things and get in the car and come home. And I was like, I don't trust myself with my car. And then it clicked to her. She was like, okay, my daughter, like she's not doing well. So she's like, all right, I'm gonna book you a ticket. Grab your stuff. You're leaving tomorrow. And so I flew with Charlie, my cat.
Chonkers.
Yeah. And when I got home, whenever I get with my mom, sorry, I just burped. Whenever I get with my mom, I can't stop talking for like 2 days. I don't leave her alone. I'm very annoying. And I don't leave her side. I'm very needy. I'm an only child, so.
Yeah, you still haven't left your mom alone since she's retired.
I haven't.
She told you.
I haven't. She literally called me out the other day. She's like, I asked you for 2 months. And I'm like, well, you didn't even get a week. But it's like, I'm at that point, and I've been feeling that way since the last summer. I need my mom, and she knows it, and I've been going through another kind of like very low part.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been very much needing her, which she knows. So that's why I call her every day. But once she comes, she's coming on the 16th. After that, after she leaves, because she's going to be here for like almost a month. After she leaves, I'll be fine. I just need my mom at this point.
Yeah. I'm horrible. I'm a anti-family person.
Okay.
Like, I love my family. I like seeing them for a very short amount of time. It does not take me long to get my fill of them. After that, I am a monster, because any little transgression, I'm immediately like, no, fuck that. I don't care. I'm leaving. Bye. Mm-hmm. Like, no matter how small it is. But just like you, I need my family time. Like, mm-hmm. You live alone, so you understand this. Like, not coming home to nothing. I mean, you have the dog and the cat, but like human interaction, mm-hmm. like when you don't have it, is horrible. Yeah. Like, you also have your second job that you do, so you do have some human interaction there too, but it's not the fucking same. Like, yeah. I'm on the phone all day long with my work wife, and like, even like I'm off today, I'm off tomorrow. I called off yesterday, but still he still called me. Mm-hmm. He called me, and I still talked to him the entire day. Yeah. But it's not the same as like needing your mom. Just like when my brain knew I was dying, what I wanted to talk to my mom. I wanted my mom. So yeah, I get it. Yeah. 'Cause when I was real close to killing myself, I made a real I was fucking hammered. I used to drink like an entire fifth of whiskey, a 12-pack of beer, and then usually like my nightcap was a giant Foster's. Like, that would be one night just for me.
Oh my god.
That's, yeah, like, I was bad. I went on a huge rant, like, fuck everyone, fuck you, I'm sick of everything, I'm sick of this world, blah blah blah. They show up. Someone sees it in the morning, which is like 5 hours after I'd posted on Facebook. They showed up. I lived 2 hours away. They showed up pounding on my door. I was passed out drunk. And they took me home. Just like you going home, your mom booking the flight and all that shit. And that's when I went sober for 2 years. From that time, I didn't touch a single drop of alcohol, which in hindsight I found out was very dangerous. For
Stop it like that, yeah.
yeah, because people that have drinking problem when they stop drinking cold turkey, your risk of heart attack goes up really high. So, but it worked out. So, but yeah, I spent 2 weeks at home, just being with my family, and it changed me. Now I ended up losing the job I worked for, went bankrupt. I lost it, and then I moved home for a year and helped with my dad, with him being sick. Yeah. So then when I turned 30 is when I found a job down here. I moved down here, but yeah, no, that 2 weeks recharged me and helped rewire my brain. And I got on brain meds then, but they were horrible. It wasn't sertraline, but like if I missed the dosage, like if I took it at like regular 7 in the morning and I missed it that 24-hour period by like an hour or two, like it was like I was detoxing from heroin.
Oh God.
I was sweating. I felt super sick, so I stopped taking it. But then I was all right for a while. Still depressed. It's from some of the years of drinking, some of my childhood problems. But it wasn't as bad. And then I started taking them again after a year after my cardiac arrest event, because like I was going to the hospital like almost every day because I thought I was having such bad panic attacks. I was having a heart attack. Mm-hmm. So then I got on them and stuff. But yeah, it's amazing how your family, and in your instance, your mom, is quite literally your life buoy. I've kind of realized that, like even without this conversation, and you being the only child, like she is quite literally your life buoy. I mean, anyone that has any type of empathy for human beings, like, could see that your mom is your world and your saving grace. So, but
I have so my mom, when I was born, she lost her mom a month after I was born. So I became hers. I became her life. What's that word? I can't pronounce it.
What word?
Life water thing.
Buoy.
Buoy.
Buoy. Isn't that a French word?
No, it's buoy.
Buoy. I'm gonna Google this right now.
I hate that word. Whenever I read it, I'm like, that doesn't make sense.
It's spelled so weird too.
It's so weird. Is it French?
Dutch, I think.
Ah, the goddamn Dutch people.
I think it's Dutch,
goddamn Graffiti and his people.
Goddamn Scandinavians.
Ugh. But yeah, so when I was born, I became hers, and after she grieved her mom, I was kind of like left behind. So my first job as a baby was to be my mom's world.
Yeah.
So obviously she became mine much more than if she hadn't lost her mom, I think.
Yeah. And was your dad not helpful with that?
So my dad had depression my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
So there was always like some kind of gap between us.
You talk like he's dead.
He's not. We just are no contact.
Okay. He's your... This is what my ex-girlfriend would call her father, is the sperm donor.
No, he's my dad.
Okay.
For me. So I have a rocky relationship with my dad, is that I was the parent in the relationship.
Was he a drunk?
Like growing up, when I was a kid, like I saw him in and out of the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Because he would be there for depression. And then when my parents divorced, I took on the role of protecting my mom. And he's the one that left. And then he took the role of being the victim. And I was supposed to protect him. but I was busy protecting my mom.
Okay.
Um,
You saw it for what it was. Is he left? You didn't.
yeah, he left because he was too depressed to be with my mom. He left of his own accord because it just wasn't working. Which, honestly, it's a good thing that he left for the both of them.
Yeah.
Because my mom told me once that she told me, don't be surprised if you come home and I tell you that your dad has passed.
Okay.
Like, she thought he was going to commit suicide. So I grew up with that as a teenager. And then when they divorced, my dad...
How old were you when they divorced?
I was 12.
Okay.
Yeah. And my dad, even though he left, he made himself be a victim. And he would try to turn me against my mom, which didn't work. And then he had stopped smoking, and then he started smoking again, which I had asked him to stop smoking, which I was the reason why he had stopped. So when he started again, I was like, I don't want to go to your house anymore. I don't want to smell like cigarette. I don't want anything to do with it. But he still kept smoking, and he still expected me to go to his house, which the older I got, the less I wanted to go. Because he would come, whenever I would go, he would smoke. He would complain about my mom. He would complain about being alone. He would complain about never seeing me, blah, blah, blah. So it, like, increased the gap between us.
Yeah.
Because I had to do the damage control. I was only a child, and I had to take care of my father. I had to be the parent in the relationship. And so when I had my breakdown in 2018, when I landed, my mom picked me up. I texted my dad. We kind of we still talked a little bit at that time, but I obviously didn't go to my dad first.
Mm-hmm.
So I texted him. I was like, hey, I landed. My mom just picked me up, and we're going to drive because I live 4 hours away from the airport, so we had to drive back. And I was like, I texted him, I'll text you when I feel better. And I spent the first week of me being home, I didn't speak a word. And that's why I was saying, whenever I get home, I talk to my mom, and she's gets sick of me. But for the entire first 7 days, I did not speak a word. My mom would bring my food to my door. If I was eating, I was literally not eating.
Yeah.
But I wasn't sitting at the table. I wasn't hanging out with everyone. I was empty. I was a void of myself.
Just sitting there staring at the wall.
What?
Were you just laying there staring at the wall?
I can't even tell you because I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't know.
I mean, that's what I did.
I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't eating. I was crying. That I know I was crying. And I was just doing absolutely nothing, which is so hard for me to understand how I was able to do that.
Yeah, because you seem like a busybody.
Yeah, I like to be, and I always need to be on watching something and on my phone at the same time. I need something in my hands. And for me to be a good 2-3 months without doing anything, without eating, without sleeping, I had to take medication to sleep. I take 2 naps a day.
You need to stop that. Live your life.
Yeah,
Be awake.
I know. But I was at the point where I was terrified of sleeping because every time I slept I had nightmares.
Yeah.
So I would just not sleep. I wouldn't eat. But anyway, the first week I spent there, I didn't speak. None of my friends knew I was back home. I hid my car. No, I didn't take my car. But I told my mom whenever she went to the grocery store to not let anyone know that I was there. So
yeah, no one knew I was home either.
A year later. Yeah. And so, but my dad knew, and because I didn't see the days pass, I obviously didn't text him. And then one day, he messaged me. He sent me these long messages. I'm there because I'm fucking depressed. I want to kill myself. I'm not speaking. You know I'm not doing well. And you're going to send me giant texts of how bad of a daughter I am because I didn't come to you yet.
Oh, no.
My mom was pissed. And I'm getting emotional right now. My mom was pissed. And so that's the day that I decided I am ending things with my dad. I'm going no contact. And still to this day, he has not apologized.
Since then?
Since 2018. And last year,
So
we got another...
It's been about 6 years.
Yeah. So last year, he sent me another message being like, oh, like, I blah, 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 I hate what you did, and blah, blah, blah. Again, telling me how bad of a daughter I am. And I told him, all you have to do for us to, like, get back to, like, to talking or something is to apologize for what you did. And still he's like, oh, well, you don't know what I'm going through. And I'm like, and he was still sending me money. And I was like, please stop sending me money. Take that money and go to therapy.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to do therapy. He likes to take drugs to avoid anything instead of going through it.
Now, does he take, like, prescribed drugs or, like, drugs?
No. He used to. I don't know if he's still taking. So the first time that when I did my burnout, I was like, okay, I'm gonna start doing therapy, and he was like, oh, don't do therapy. Go see a psychiatrist and get Valium. Yeah.
No, I think that's a benzo.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane. So he takes that. I don't know if he still does. Plus, he smokes weed, and I think he does mushrooms. All, like, you know, because weed is legal here, and mushrooms, I believe, are decriminalized.
Weed's legal here, but I don't think any psychedelics are.
I think mushrooms are on the way. I don't know about Ohio, but I know it's been talked about in the U.S.
There probably are some states there where mushrooms are legalized. I wouldn't doubt it. I don't see why they shouldn't be. It's been doing great. Like, I've been seeing great things therapeutic wise with mushrooms.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
I'm all for adding it to therapy, but taking it to avoid going through what you have to go through to get over it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, still to this day, he doesn't understand what he did wrong, because my dad's always been the victim. So yeah, my dad's not dead, but we don't talk. I've cut him off completely for my own safety, basically.
I don't blame you. I mean, that sounds...
There's so much more to it too.
Oh, I'm sure. Just from what you've shared with me just now, like, it makes total sense. You know, my dad's not quite like that. I mean, my dad, like, he lost his arm when he was 33 years old, his right arm. His own fault. Fucking drinking, motorcycle, hit a curb. He landed, then the bike landed on him. Dead arm. Fucking. He was coddled by his mother ever since then. And then my mom doesn't help out with that either. But he had a real bastard of a father. Told him he hated him every day, wishes he was never born, shit like that. My dad's not perfect by any means. But he's nowhere close to what his father was.
Right.
Bless you. And both my parents had really fucked up upbringings. They both came from alcoholic, abusive families. Like, one side of the family was, like, it was either for my dad it was his father, and my mom it was her mother. My dad plays a little bit of a victim card, not much, but he does. And that bothers the shit out of me. I'm not nowhere close to, like, where you are with your father, but, like, now as a 40-year-old man who's been through a tragedy just like him, and he just tells me to suck it up. I'm just like, I literally had to tell him, and we had an argument like this before me and my brother went down the Bourbon Trail for our 40th. I told him, I go, your event happened and you just kept getting fucked up and you had your friends and your mom and everyone around, your shitty father. I go, I was stuck in a pandemic by myself.
Completely different.
I go, I not allowed to do drugs. I can't smoke weed. I can't even do edibles. I can't do anything. I go, and I'm trapped inside a house, not knowing if this virus, if I get it, if it will kill me. And I'm in a job where I'm forced into people's homes. So you can take that shit and shove it right up your foot. And I was like, fuck you. Like, it's like you just kept partying and fucking being a biker. That's all you just kept doing that. I had to do this shit. So like telling me to suck it up is not gonna fucking fly with me. You know what I mean?
I feel like that generation, that's all they knew how to do. My mom's the same. My mom had a horrible father, which was alcoholic and a thief and all of that. And whenever I bring up my dad with my mom, she's always like, just like get over it. Just get over it and start talking to him again. And I'm like, no, like I want him to apologize. Like I deserve an apology. And she's like, well, me with my dad, like my dad wasn't any nicer, but I just suck it up and, took care of him. And I'm like, well, that was your choice. My situation is completely different. The generation is completely different. The world has changed. I'm not just going to suck it up. I'm not going to let it go. I'm not going to get over it.
The only thing that I would say to you is say everything that you need to say to him before he does go. Whatever, good or bad.
I have already.
Okay. Because, like, I get, like, I'm with you. Like, if he doesn't want to, like, you laid out the terms. You go, if you're willing to concede this and apologize for what you did wrong, I can be your daughter again. Mm-hmm. And obviously he doesn't want to do that, so fuck him. Like, that's pretty plain and simple. Like, when I have these, like, I get my anger from my dad's side. So, it's not even as close as him or his father, but it's there. Like you and people in streams and shit will never see like me like starting to get angry and shit. But when shit like that happens, especially with my family, like my fuse is super short, and I'm just like, okay, now I need to treat you like you're a stranger and talk to you like you're a stranger, being a dickhead, which is not always the best thing to do. Hi, puppy. But, like, we can have a drag-out fight. We might not talk for a few days.
Yeah.
But, we go back to it. I love my father. Like I said, he's not perfect. I'm not perfect. He's tried his best. He's trying his best. But at least he's trying. And I know you probably don't want, like, someone to feel sorry for you. But I feel sorry your father's not willing to concede.
Yeah, that's like what I'm asking of him, is for him to better himself, and he should, as my father, he should want to do that.
Yeah.
And it might sound really horrible for some people, be like, oh, she's so entitled. But I've been in therapy for, as I said, like almost 4 years or something, and we've been through this with my dad, and he was supposed to be my dad, and he was never my dad.
Yeah.
When I was younger, when I was a child, he was not present mentally. All I remember is him being on the couch after work and not speaking a word and watching TV. And then after that, when they divorced, he expected me to want to be with him this whole time. And then when he realized that I didn't want to be with him, then he became a victim. And he never once did the work, the introspection, the deconstructing of everything he had been through as a child.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I deserve that. And he owes that to me as my father. And as long as he doesn't want to get better, I don't want anything to do with him. And it took me, it was a hard decision to really cut it off. And talking about it, even with my mom, I know most of my family think that I'm heartless and that I did it so easy, but it wasn't an easy decision. It really wasn't. And it really hurt me too.
Yeah.
Even though I pretend that it didn't.
Yeah.
It was not easy, and but I don't regret it. If he were to die tomorrow, when I think of, let's switch, not talking about death, but let's talk about if I were to ever get married. I don't want him there.
Yeah, and that's supposed to be like for a woman, like you should be want your father to give you away.
Exactly.
You know.
But I don't want him there, and I know that, and there's a lot of anxiety. I'm not even in a relationship. I'm single, but there's a lot of anxiety when I think of getting in a relationship and maybe one day getting married, because if he's still alive, I want my wedding to be my wedding, so I don't want him there. But if I don't invite him, hell will reign. Like, he will make a huge scene. Either way, my wedding's gonna be tainted by him.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
Yeah, because even if he comes, he's still not gonna give me away. My mother's gonna walk me down the aisle. He's gonna get mad at that. He's gonna get mad at the fact that my mother's husband is gonna be there and all of that, and that my first dance is not with him. So even if he comes, he's still gonna make a scene. And if he doesn't come, if he's not invited, he's gonna make a scene.
Will his family be just like, oh, you didn't invite your father?
My family will 100%
Yeah.
be like that. I still deal to this day. Every time when I went home this past summer, my uncle said, he's like, Dom, come here. And I'm like, okay. He's like, you're gonna have to do something for me. And I'm like, what? He's like, you're gonna have to talk to your dad. I'm like, nope. And I just walked away.
Yeah.
Every time I still deal with that. And because to them, that generation, it's suck it up, get over it. Let them mistreat you, but continue to care for them, which is not how it works anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine your parents are that far off from my parents. My dad's 71, 72.
My dad is 61, so.
Okay, my mom's 63. Yeah. So not that too far off. Mm-hmm. Definitely my dad has the 10-year gap on all the other parents, but yeah, that's where, I mean, in certain instances, yes, you should suck it up, but there's certain instances that you should not. And in all of our instances is not those instances where you suck it up.
Yeah.
There's talking that needs to be done. There's concessions that should be made on whoever's party it needs to be. And yeah, no, it's fucked up, but it's the reality of thing. Like, and your mom is still part of that generation of suck it up.
Oh yeah.
And she's probably backed off of it some as she's gotten older, and you're getting older and seeing how things go. Probably, hopefully.
Oh, I've had to tell her many times that she has to stop telling me to talk to him, because the more, and I thankfully she realized that, but the more she asked that, the more I got away from her, and I took myself away from her and isolated myself, because that's 31 years of people telling me that I should take care of my dad when I was a child. You know, I was a child. That wasn't my job.
Yeah. Well, oh God, that brings up another thing. Just like, so when on my dad's side, the Melchers, when I was a child, one of their parents were still alive, which lived with my Melcher family, my grandparents, so my great-great-grandparents. Like, that was a thing, was they lived with you until they died, and then, it was a constant, multi-family thing. Like, now it's no longer that. Now it's, your kids grow up, they leave, it's just you now. Your kids aren't going to come invite you in their home and in the twilight years. It's like, no, you're going to go to a home. We have lives to live. And I don't say that in a mean way. You know what I mean? It's just things have changed. This is no longer how the world works. As callous as that seems, I mean, this kind of is what it is. Like, I have a house that I don't even use half of it. Like, I literally have a mother-in-law suite on that end of my house. It's got a living room, a full bathroom, like a bigger bedroom than I use, and a full basement. Like, if it ever came down to it, I did, because my parents want to move down here because we're down here and we're like 3-4 hours away. I was like, you can live with me. I don't give a shit. You know? But, I mean, it's also like, you can also not live with me. Like, you can go buy your own fucking house. It's just, that's a huge generational change because it abruptly stopped with our parents.
Yeah.
Basically, like, because it's like, okay, well, my dad's probably going to die in the house they own. My mom doesn't want to move away from her twin sister. She has a huge fucking family. But her twin sister, they have always been within like a half hour of each other their entire life for 63 years. They've always been together. And the one thing that she always says to me is like, I don't want to leave Mary. And I'm like, well, you've had 63 years with your twin sister. You've got a grandchild. You've got another grandchild on the way that you cry all the time that you don't spend enough time with. I think it's okay if you move 3 to 4 hours away from your sister. She'll understand. All her grandkids are up there, you know? You know, just come be with your kids.
Yeah, but she expects it the other way. She expects your sister to move closer to her.
No, she doesn't expect that.
No?
No,
For the
she...
grandkid?
Say that? Say it again?
To be with the grandkids?
She would like us to move, well, all of us just move closer to where we grew up, but there's nothing there. It's just like where you're from. It's fucking nothing. There's one place where you can make a fuck ton of money, but it's a shitty factory job that literally, if it were to go up, it would destroy that entire fucking part of the state.
Yeah, it's a wood factory for me.
Yeah, this is a chemical factory. And good luck getting in there. You know? So, I mean, if I would have got in there, that's where I'd still be today. You know, maybe I'd be dead. I don't fucking know. But, you know, we've laid it out to them. We're like, we're not coming back there. Unless some crazy shit happens, we'll never come back. Like, I try not to go back there. Granted, it's hard for me to drive long distances because of my brain shit. Like, I know where all the hospitals are from here to Conneaut, Ohio. Because all the shit I did go through, there was a lot of physical ramifications that came from it. Like, I have permanent, like, broken bones, basically. I've fucked up disc, nerve damage, all sorts of shit. So, like, I'm usually in constant pain. So that, like, 3 to 4 hour drive is hell on me.
Yeah.
So, like, since 2019, like, I've been back 3 times. My brother's been back. He goes, like, maybe every other month, especially with the kid now. But, yeah, I just don't go home at all. Like, well, I don't fucking like it there. And, you know, it's super hard on me to do so. So, you know, we try to convince them to come down here, but my dad wants to die in the house that he bought, and which is understandable. And it's what he knows. I get it. He's lived way longer than he should have. Like, with everything that he has going on. He has less than like 20% of his lungs left, and
Jesus.
Yeah, it's fucking.
My grandpa refused to die.
Yeah, well, if anything, me and my dad are a testament that the Melcher men are not real good at dying. We're good at getting fucked up and getting hurt, but the dying part.
Good at living it up.
Yeah, the dying part we're not so good at. But yeah, it's just it's wild. But and I know this long rant just got because I brought up sertraline, right?
Yeah.
So see, this is one thing why I like doing this is because we can start talking. This is why I didn't like have too many things on my docket to talk about or like specific things because I knew we would get latched on to something and it would just keep going. I always felt like I was at 30% of all emotions. And like you said, you were in a zombie state. Like I no longer had panic attacks, but like everything was at 30%. Like joy, fun, nah, I'm just meh. Like being scared or anything, nothing. Like, and I'm like, I didn't want to live like that anymore. It's like, yeah, I don't have panic attacks, but I'm not enjoying anything. Like I can't listen to music if it moves me. Like I don't get choked up, or I see like a scene in a movie like it doesn't fucking get to me like the way it should, and I'm like, I can't live like this anymore. So I weaned myself off of it. Now one of the negative effects is like like the anger came back. Yeah. So like I'm a little quick. God, the anger came back so quick. And doing what I do for a living is not the best to be angry, but when people like almost hit you with their car constantly, like I had this dude in a Lexus like almost clip me with this mirror because he's like driving and his phone's right here, and I didn't touch his car, but I like just went down into his window. I called him a few choice words I won't say on here, and I told him to pay attention to what the fuck he was doing. And he's just like, and then he just drove off, and and even though I did what I did, like after a few seconds, I'm like, I shouldn't have got that fast to that anger. But at the same time, it's like someone almost just hit. Like I've been hit twice by a car. So this is nothing. Like the worst one, I took a mirror off the side of a car. I was walking home drunk from a concert. The car came off. Like they weren't just gonna scare me. I wasn't even on the road. I was like 5 feet off the road, and they swerved toward me and they hit me with the side of the car. And like my whole left arm was black. So like getting hit by cars was nothing new to me, but like the fact that I'm out working and I have a truck in a lane with a beacon going like, hey, someone's out here working, and this guy's just like almost fucking hits me, and I'm like, what the fuck? And this is in a rich area of Columbus, and
even more frustrating.
Yeah, very, very frustrating. And I was on a little high alert too. So this area is also probably 90% Jewish, and this is about the time when global jihad was being called for, shortly after the October 7th thing. So although I knew nothing probably wasn't going to happen, like it's best to still keep your head on a swivel in case something did happen. Yeah. So I was just heightened anyways. So I was just like, oh, man, that's just what I like. I was just like, so any wrongdoing, I was just like on it, fucking anger, just boom, fuck you, piece of shit, blah, blah, blah. And every time I was flying off the handle, I'm just like, dude, you need to calm the fuck down. Mm-hmm. Which I kind of will, because I hadn't been angry like that in so long. Like, it kind of felt good, just because I hadn't felt it in so long. But what I really liked was, like, I was watching movies. Like, so when I got out, the second time I got out of the hospital, within a week, Avengers Endgame came out. And I would have been pissed if I died and didn't see that. So I got to see it in the theater.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. I got to see it in the theater at a midnight showing, one of the very first showings. And the scene where Captain America catches Mjolnir and like Sam's like, check on your left. Mm-hmm. Like that, just talking about it chokes me up because it's such a great scene.
It's amazing.
Like if I watch anything or they just play that, like I remember being in that theater, everyone going, feeling, yeah. One guy that jumped up when he caught Mjolnir and he goes, let's fucking go, and everyone starts flipping out, the portals start like, mm-hmm. when I got on the drugs, like anytime I saw that, I never felt it again.
Mm-hmm.
But now that I'm off, like every time I see it, get choked up. Songs now, like again, that move me. Like I feel great about it. Like I'll sing them and I'll feel whatever you're supposed to feel for a certain song. So, did I need those drugs? Yes, I definitely needed them for a time. But like, I don't think everyone should be on forever. I think I do need to do what you do and see a therapist, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, American health system is
Yeah.
like I'm supposed like my primary, because both my rotator cuffs are pretty much torn in my shoulders. Like she's like, you need physical therapy. I'm like, I can't. I don't have time. Like I have to work. My work's not going to be real cool about it.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, well, even after they fully tear, I mean, you can still use your arms. It just fucking sucks. She goes, you'll eventually have to have surgery done. I'm like,
Surgery.
it is what it is. You know what I mean? So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it just, I don't know. I'm just happy. I'm fucking off that shit. I want to see a therapist again. I've talked to a psychiatrist. And obviously she's the one that diagnosed me with the PTSD and the agoraphobia and all that fun bullshit. But, and I know you.
Yeah, you really need a therapist, because a psychiatrist can tell you what's going on, but they can't help you fix it.
Yeah. Now, so when you were talking and like, so at what age did you start going to therapy?
So I had a therapist in 2018 when I got my burnout, but he was more of a life coach.
Mm-hmm.
And so that, I think I had him for maybe 8 months, but it never clicked. He was not equipped to deal with what I was dealing with.
Yeah.
So he kind of just dropped me without, like, I had to reschedule an appointment, and so I emailed him, and he just never answered.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was something. And then I think a year after that, I was like, okay, I need to get back. I need to find someone. And I started in end of 2020, maybe? End of 2020, I think. So it's almost 4 years.
Now, and you said like even like talking with your therapist, you can't recall those certain times. Have they tried doing like that light thing?
No.
They haven't
No,
tried doing
our
that with you?
sessions we're doing our sessions virtual, so I've never actually met my therapist.
I think they can do that.
Through camera?
Yeah.
I don't know.
All it is like, so my ex-girlfriend didn't. She wasn't real receptive because she was in the army and she's very oorah, and that's not surprising if she's transitioning into a male, but like she had like a lot of male toxicity, like alpha male bullshit. But I've also seen that like the light or the rapid eye movement thing, it can help you recall. And I've heard a comedian talking about this because he was doing it because he was having trouble recalling like these bad times in his life. And all it does is gets your brain to focus on something as someone's talking to you. And I guess like subconsciously your brain like this isn't holding on to the shit that it's trying to block out.
Yeah.
And I guess it's just something like they just put on the camera. It's kind of like when we're talking about in the screen for the therapist, you would just be following the light bar and you just hear them talking. I guess they can do that. Maybe it's something you'd want to ask your therapist about.
Yeah.
But at the same time, and there's a comedian, Kyle Kinane, fucking makes a joke about this, is why the fuck would you want to remember things that your brain is...
That's my feeling. Like it's fine because like the only thing I remember is the pain. I couldn't feel anything else other than the pain at that time. Like it's not so much important to me as to know like what I was doing in those days.
Yeah.
Like what I was doing, I was like what, laying on in my bed on my phone looking at whatever.
Does it bother you don't remember?
In a way, I would say, because it's a weird feeling to not remember anything about a certain period of time. Because like that's years for me. Like that's more than just a burnout.
Yeah.
It's at least since 2018 to early 2020, I would say. I don't remember anything other than the pain, and that pain is something I never want to feel again. So to have to go back to it, I'm good.
Yeah, I see. That's what I wonder too. Is like, there's a reason your brain is blocking that from you.
Mm-hmm.
Would unlocking that really make things better?
Yeah.
Like,
I think so.
maybe in certain instances it would, but maybe not, because like I said, like I've been having a lot of existential crisis. You know, just turning 40 and whatnot. Like, I'm starting to remember things that happened in my childhood that I see why my brain locked it out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, fuck, why are you remembering this shit now? Like, it was totally gone. And it just came to me. Just, I was driving one day. I didn't happen to be on the phone with my work buddy. And it's just like, I'm just driving. I'm like, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense. Like, because like I connected to why I do certain things.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, fuck, I wish I didn't remember that. You know? Mm-hmm. And nothing real bad, but it wasn't good. Like, and it's like, okay, brain, let's chill the fuck out a little bit. Let's not remember shit unless it's like life-threatening.
Yeah, I don't have time for this.
Yeah, it's like that. I could have regressed that one for longer, and we would have been okay. But yeah, I have another question for you, and I definitely wanted to ask you this question. Do you think, especially with all the world bullshit that goes on, do you think that maybe the way our government feeds us information about shit that goes on in other places, like, affects us emotionally, mentally?
100%. 100%.
Because I highly doubt the way you receive information and the way I receive information about the same thing, and we'll use Palestine and Israel. Mm-hmm. Like, I doubt we're seeing the same shit. I highly doubt it.
For sure.
And I think that affects us all a lot. And it bothers me because it can divide us as people, it can divide us as human beings.
But that's the point.
Yeah.
That's the point of media.
And
like, if I look at my mom, like, she just watches the news, so she gets everything fed straight from the government.
In her echo chamber, too. Yeah.
And that's why I think it's so important and that's why I think we're seeing such a big discourse on what's happening with Palestine, is that with social media, we can see other people's points of views. We can see what's happening on the ground. We can see what's happening on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's your job to decide which side you're on or where your values lay. Whereas my mom only sees one side.
Yeah.
And she gets what is fed to her instead of going and actively searching for people that have different experiences.
Yep. I think... Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Sure. No, I was going to say it's for sure affecting us in different ways. And what kills me is, like, this is my stance on it, you were talking about it the other day in your stream, and you made a good point of, well, they did this, so why wouldn't you fucking do this, like, get them back? And I said, well, an eye for an eye just leaves everyone blind, because that's all it's gonna do. Yeah. I've got no dog in this fight other than there's innocent human beings being killed on both sides of this conflict. I don't know enough about it. I don't trust most of the shit I see on social media or any news outlet, because it can be controlled on whichever side that it comes out.
but I don't disagree or like I don't your view. It doesn't change my opinion of you at all. I see why you see what you see, or where you lay your allegiances with, or how you feel about something. But like I said, I'm not Jewish. I'm not Muslim. I've got no family or friends over there. My only tie is there's human beings over there that are fucking dying for whatever reason it is. If I wanted to do the real work, I could probably do it and then have more of an idea and then maybe pick a side. But I don't want to pick a side. I just want I'm sick of fucking wars. Ever since I was in high school, which I should have been drafted into the war. It's been a war. We get out of the war. We're in a proxy war with Russia, and then this shit pops off. It's like I don't want this. I'm sick of seeing this shit. And I see my parents fucking being divided. My mom's not talking to certain members of her family anymore because of fucking news and social media, fucking swaying on one side, just on politics. And then I see people losing friends because you have an opinion or whatever on things like Israel and Palestine, and it shouldn't be that serious, especially you have your feelings about it, and I respect it, and I can bring my perspective to yours to see why you have it, and I can agree with it. I can also find it from people that on the Israel side, but in the end, I've got no dog in this fight. It's just humans killing each other, not just in a military fashion, but killing innocent people in between that, and it's fucked up. This was a big story when Israel was doing a strike back. There was a story saying that the IDF or whatever bombed a hospital, but then I saw that they didn't hit the hospital; they hit the parking garage next to it. And to me that goes, well, that's one media source saying that they bombed a hospital and another source saying that they didn't. Who the fuck are you supposed to believe? And that's what's so hard. Mm-hmm. And it's horribly dividing all of us. And I think the baseline, what we all should at least be doing is being like, well, can you stop fucking killing women and children? It's kind of fucked up. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we need a ceasefire. And that's why I hate working for the department that I'm working with, because especially right now with my team, they're all military men, and I'm very much against war, but they are for war. So it's very tough for me to be in that environment, which is why I'm trying so hard to leave.
Do you think any of them have ever been in a conflict and war or fighting or?
Not them, I would say. Probably not. I think some of them may have been to, Bosnia, when it wasn't at war. We were never, they're old men. They were never in Afghanistan or anything like that. So I don't think they've experienced firsthand.
You probably deal with officers that's with what you do.
What?
You probably deal with officers.
Yeah, so our army system is different than the U.S. So right now I have a captain, I have a lieutenant colonel, I have
those would be officers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other one, which is the trade. There's two categories. So there's a captain and lieutenant colonel that are officers, and then there's the master warrant officers. Even though they have officers in their names, they're not officers.
They're enlisted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in the American, they would be enlisted officer, and then there's people that are officers that like went to college and then they got an officer program when they got in the military.
Yeah.
They're just ranking higher than.
They went to like military college.
Yeah.
I got both.
Yeah. So, and it's what's, and I totally get that. I mean, because those guys are trained to be war fighters, right? Like it's what they signed up to do, whether they did it or not. You know what I mean? But like, I'm a dude. I watch Joe Rogan shit, but I also see other podcasts where it's like ex-Navy SEALs, Green Berets, shit, like guys that have done and seen horrible shit, and they ain't all about this shit. They're like, this shit needs to stop. They're in the same boat of, hey man, can we just figure this shit out?
That have seen it firsthand that don't want it anymore.
Yeah, that have done these horrible things that they will probably never tell another soul about just to survive or make sure their mission got done. People that operated at that high of a level, you talk to them now and they're just like, no, this shit ain't worth it. I mean, these like Navy SEALs and shit, they're just like, I could have done without all that.
Yeah.
And that's fucking crazy. And they're like, and they even like in certain instances, a lot of them denounced our government. And it's like, that says a fucking lot. That's like the little they're saying is very fucking loud. Yeah. And I mean, that's a whole nother thing too, is like, I don't trust any of our governments.
Yep.
So like, and you have your tone, what you do. And one of my customers used to be with the American DOD. He's a contractor. I accidentally saw what he does one day in his house. Yeah. I didn't see much, but I went to a room with a lot of very fancy computers had like a flight stick and an active Predator drone. I turned around, I'm like, I shouldn't be in here, should I? He's like, no. I'm like, okay. And I walked out. But yeah, I mean, that's a whole nother thing is that bullshit. Like, why are any of, especially like for us who are not yeah,
it would be interesting to see that.
Yeah, it's just it's fucking nuts. It's for people who we have no fucking like even like you're not Jewish or Muslim, yeah. Like other than for just being human, like there should be no huge division. Like if you're fucking Israel or on the side of Palestine, it's like, how about we just fucking cut it out? You know what I mean?
Should be against killing others.
Yeah. Fucking, you guys fucking ceasefire, figure your fucking shit out. I don't know enough about it to fucking be like one side or the other. I mean, if, like I said, I could look into it and then pick a team, but I don't want to pick a team. I just want it to fucking stop. But people are taking such fucking hard stances on it.
I mean, if you wanted to stop, you weren't taking a side. You were asking for a ceasefire, so you're going against Israel. Just saying.
I mean, I guess so, yeah. I mean...
That's the way I see it, too. I want it to stop. I am for Palestine. I don't want Palestinians to die. I don't want anyone to die.
Neither do I. I don't want any more Israel people to die either. And that's crazy. It's like I said, like one of my areas that I cover is a very, very prominent Jewish area. I don't ever talk to these people because, like, I'm just there to make sure that the infrastructure is protected. So, but there's Justice for Israel yard signs everywhere. Like, well, you're Jewish. I get it. I'm not going to fucking talk to you about it, even if you, like I do the governor's mansion. Like I had to do the governor's mansion the other day, which is in the Jewish area, and there was Israel signs out there. And I'm like, well, I don't know why the fuck you're taking a stance on it, but it's like, maybe worry about your stupid decisions you're making and stay the fuck out of. Yeah, because I mean, we just had to fucking the majority of the Senate had to knock down because Mike DeWine which is our governor, was trying to pass a bill to where you could start transitioning children.
Oh yeah.
If you're an adult, I'm fine with it. I don't care. I'm happy. You do what you got to do. Make yourself feel happy. But making that decision for a child is nuts. Because that's something you really probably can't even go back on. Like, would you let a child get a tattoo?
I've seen a lot of studies on brains of trans children and how the brain, let's say they're born in a male body, the brain will function the same way as a female brain. And I wish that there was, if it was a perfect world, we could test the brain and be like, okay, it's not just an idea, we're born in the wrong body.
Yeah.
Hormone blockers are always reversible, and I'm also for the younger you do the transition, the more chances you have at being accepted as who you truly are. So it's a very touchy subject. I feel like if it was my child and my child came to me with that, and you're supposed to know your child.
Yeah.
I feel like I would go with it. I would do the surgeries that they would ask.
I think I would let it play out. I would not do surgeries or hormone blockers. I would let them dress the way they wanted to dress and feel the way they wanted to feel.
Obviously, you don't you don't chop a dick, right? Like the first thing that you do.
Yeah, that's an irreversible thing.
But there's so much care that needs to be protected for those trans children, I think. Unfortunately, isn't being protected.
I mean, you go through so many changes as you grow up. I mean, just like we talked about earlier, is the person you were now, you're just not the same person when you were 25 or 20. I can tell you this right now. I'm nowhere close to the guy I was 5 years ago or 5 years past that. Our brains finally, like, at least in men, stop growing when we're 25. Like, that's when we're fully, like, what if I would have made a fucking irreversible choice before I was 25? Like, that's what I worry about. I would hope that you at least let your kid get old enough as to become an adult, then to make their choice. Let it play out. But don't do anything irreversible when they're children. Like the blockers, if hormone blockers are reversible, then fine. I didn't know that. If that's true, then fine. If it's reversible, I won't even argue that point. But like chopping dicks off or doing irreversible things to a child, I don't agree with. But let it play out because they may change over time. You know what I mean?
But what if they don't, and then they have this whole trauma? They have 18 years of trauma of being misgendered. Like, either way, you're taking a risk.
Yeah.
Which is, that's why I hate this world, because nothing's perfect, and I hate it.
Well, nothing's ever going to be perfect. It's like how what's the best way we can go around it? You know what I mean? Or make it so it's not a horrible experience. Life is life, right? Like, we're all going to have horrible experiences. Kind of like what I mentioned at the top was my experience, as traumatic as it was, could be felt the same even for a person that their most tragic experience is a car crash. You know what I mean? If being misgendered, this is the way I look at it. If being misgendered for 18 years is the worst thing that could happen to you, and they never have any negative experiences outside of that, I would rather have that for that person than to go through what I went through at any point in their life. Yes, but it's still mentally fucking people up, no matter how you shake it. And that's another thing that like how do you have a conversation with anyone about it? Like, I'm willing to have this conversation with you, not to say I'm right or wrong. I'm willing to have this conversation with you because, one, you're in a different country. Both have, obviously, I know you wouldn't be 100% or even like maybe agree a little bit with what I have to say, but like, I'm willing to change or at least see from your perspective or someone else's, because if I look at it just in my perspective, then, I don't learn shit. You know what I mean? I can't change my perspective if I'm not willing to see it from someone else's. Maybe I don't change mine, maybe I do. I don't know. Like cramp. I didn't know fucking hormone blockers are reversible. Like, I always see it's irreversible or possibly irreversible. I do have a little bit of faith in him because his wife's a nurse, so that's more of a medical field experience than either one of us have. So it's an interesting thing. Like, I'm happy that Mike DeWine was shot down, because either way it's going to be somewhat traumatic, and I hope it's not extremely traumatic, but we've come, as a world society, we've gotten a lot better about the letter mafia. Like, people are way more accepting now. It's not like, I mean, shit, when I was in high school, you could call someone a fag in class and it was okay. Like, you didn't get, like, now that's a 4-letter word, It took me a long time to get that out of my lexicon. Like, even just, joking around. So, I mean, just from that, like, I'm only like, 8-9 years older than you, but still, that's a huge difference.
And that's something I have trouble getting my mom to understand with words like that. She's still, in French, she still uses the N-word in certain contexts. Which,
like, in a racial way?
Yeah. Yes. The N-word.
Okay.
And I'm like, just stop saying it. Like, it's a word. And she's like, no, like, to me, it doesn't mean that. And I'm like, it doesn't matter what it means to you. Like,
it's what it means to everyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
no matter what how you say or in whatever context, it's still,
the impact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It still hits the same. Yeah. Like, my old man was a biker. You know what? I grew up in a town with maybe 3 black families. Maybe at the time. So that word was in my father's lexicon. It was in mine for a while. I grew up in a fucking town, and I mean, these guys did too. But where, our father said it, you say it, you grew up, but like, I moved out. I went to other places. I made friends with other cultures and shit. And like, it's like, okay. I was an idiot for using those words. I meant you're worldly traveled. So you've seen way more cultures and shit than I have in your 31 years. And very jealous, by the way. But it's awesome you've got to do that. And I think, and I'm pretty damn sure, is when you get out of, and this works even just like talking about like the stupid like social media and like news bullshit, it's like when you get out in the world and you meet other people from other walks of life, like, and experience culture, like, you're like, oh, those stupid fucking views I had were stupid. We're fucking dumb.
Yep.
Kind of like your whole thing about being scared to come to America because you think you're gonna get shot.
Yeah.
It's not that bad.
It's not gonna happen.
I understand that, but here's a fun statistic. Is a couple years ago, Ohio's always been a conceal and carry state, but you had to have a permit. couple years ago, it turned into a constitutional carry. So you no longer have to have a permit to carry as long as you're not a criminal. And it's been proven statistically that states and cities that allow for conceal and carry, crime goes down a huge amount. There are people that should not have guns. I'm 100% on that. But you also live in a country where there's really no gun culture. So I see it from your perspective. I understand it. I've always had a gun or have guns. Like,
I've never seen a gun.
You've never even seen a gun?
I've seen a prototype of one. That's it.
Okay.
Rifle.
They're fun.
I don't want that power in my hands.
I know. But I get it, like your fear, like, but like at the same time, like, how long did you live in South Korea?
A year.
A year? Did you ever feel unease?
Never.
Never?
No, they love white people.
Well,
They love, that's going to sound very conceited, but they love pretty white people. So I was never in danger.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought you said they like pretty white people.
Yeah.
With that huge ass forehead you have?
It's super shiny right now.
Yeah. I mean, like, did it ever bother you, like, North Korea could just do some dumb shit? Like, come hunting down a Westerner?
No.
You never worried about that? See, that's something I would be worried about.
Because you're American.
Yeah, because I'm American. Like, and as a Canadian, like, you're like, well, I'll get shot if I go into New York to a Target. I mean, it's Target. Don't they not shoot there? Like,
Yeah. Isn't that like a daily occurrence?
no. I mean,
No.
where I work, it happens more than I would like to admit. But
That makes me really want to go.
I know. But what's fucked up is I've been around shootouts a couple of times, and a couple of them I didn't even realize it was happening until it was over. I'm just like, wait, what the fuck? Which is not good, but it also doesn't really bother me all that much, which doesn't help me trying to sell this to you. But I mean, it's all about where you go. There's bad areas in fucking Quebec and shit. I'm sure there is.
Yeah.
You just don't go to those fucking areas. Like, I'm sure there's shit parts of South Korea, and I'm pretty sure you stayed away from them. It's the same with any country, state. I mean, I would never go to PA because it sucks. Fucking scabs. But yeah, like, if you went to, like, northern New York and you just jumped in to a Target, like, I'm 99.9% sure nothing would happen to you.
Yeah.
Go get whatever Pokemon plushie you want to get.
Yeah, my Squirtle.
Squirtle. But, yeah, see, that's just nuts, too. Like, and you went to Cuba.
Yeah.
Like, you weren't scared of anything?
No. I'm not American.
See, like, here, like, another thing, too, like, and I guess this would be more, like, in Thailand, but, like, some of the Asian countries where Westerners get hemmed up for drug trafficking. Like, someone plants drugs in their shit so an actual mule can make it through customs. Like, none of that shit ever popped in your brain?
No. Well, Korea's not very known for drugs, so that was never an issue. And when I went to Cuba, not necessarily Europe neither. No. That's not very much a thought that came into my mind, no.
I probably wouldn't worry about it in Europe. I mean, the only country I've been to is Canada.
Pickpocketed in Europe for sure, but nothing like that.
I wouldn't worry about being pickpocketed. I usually walk around with my hand on my pocket anyways. Like, and I
They're good, apparently.
Huh?
In Europe. They're good at it.
Well, as a dude, like, most men put their wallet usually in their back pocket. Like, I stopped doing that a long time ago because, like, when you sit on it, when you drive, it actually puts your hips out of alignment, and so I started to put mine in my front pocket. I'll have my wallet in one pocket and the pew pew in the other. But yeah, I don't think I would be pickpocketed. Because even when I walk, like I keep my hand, like my thumb will constantly be like touching. Because even though like I'm not around people that much, I'm paranoid, I guess, about shitty people. So if I was in Europe, I don't think I would be pickpocketed. Although it's possible. I'm sure they're fucking good, like you say. For example, the bang. But yeah, that's just kind of. What other countries have you been to? Just those countries?
Korea. I've been to Italy. I've been to France. I've been to Cuba. I've been to New York City. And I've been to the smallest country in the world. Do you know it?
No.
Vatican City.
Oh. I always forget that that's a country.
Yeah.
But it's Italy. That's bullshit.
No, it's Vatican City. It's different.
Although, like, even as someone who's agnostic, like, it would be interesting to go to Vatican City.
It's troubling, I would say, as someone who doesn't believe in God, to go there.
But there's this history, like, all that shit there. Like, I would love to go into their vault, like their secret, the shit that.
Oh my God, like in the Da Vinci Code.
Yeah, like that. They admit that that's real.
Yeah.
Like there's shit down there. Like there's, I mean, obviously, like the conspiracy theories, like there's a fallen angel, in there, like a whole bunch of shit. I mean, I think it would just be fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, Iro. But yeah, do you have any? Blood pressure check. Do you have anything else that you would like to bring up, or?
No, I think we had a good conversation. I'm hungry though. I haven't had dinner yet.
Okay. I gotta do
I have the machine right next to you.
Oh yeah. After what happened to me, and even still, if I don't feel right, like I'll check it, and I usually check it at times I shouldn't. Like I've obviously had a couple whiskeys, so my blood pressure's probably gonna be high, and Iro will probably give me shit. But yeah, I have it just so when I freak out, and I'm talking, so it's gonna end up being high anyways.
Yeah, that's true.
I'd probably be like, go to the hospital now. But I appreciate it, Dom. It was good talking. I thought you were gonna say no, and then I thought you were gonna back out at the last minute.
I said that at the beginning.
But no, I got questions I wanted to ask you, and I learned some more things about you. And I think we learned that sometimes you have to change if you're not willing to change your perspective to look at it from other people's points of view, then what's the point of any of it?
Yeah, you're just an asshole if you don't do that.
Yeah. Like, you can still have your point of view or opinion, but if you can't go down or meet someone to where their eyes are at, then the conversation is moot.
If you can't do that, it's because you're weak, in my opinion. Because it takes some vulnerability to be able to do that, and to listen to someone's story, and to open yourself to it, and to open yourself to feeling a certain type of way. And if you just cut that off, you're just fucking weak. You're just fucking weak, bro.
Yeah, it takes a lot to open yourself and be vulnerable. Which I kind of wanted you to do, and you did, and you told me something new about you today, which was great, and you shared with whoever ends up watching this. I will be putting this up on my YouTube channel. Yes, I know it's high. Not the worst though. It's all right. I've been drinking, so that's probably normal.
9.
What's 69 noise? But yeah, I was afraid that I would bring up some of the things I brought up, and you would be like, I want to end this. Like,
No.
I was afraid. I didn't think it was gonna happen, but it's always I was like, man, she'll probably hate me after I ask these questions, but.
No.
But you can't, like I said, if you can't be willing to sit down and change your point of view, and then you're the asshole. You said it perfectly. But still, I know, Iro. But hopefully I'll be getting back to streaming here soon. I just have some logistical things I need to get in place, and that's just because of pain and whatnot. It's the only reason I've stopped streaming was it's hard to get on here, be entertaining, and you know this, is if you don't feel good or you're hurting. And I hate being inconsistent. So I want to, like, there's one thing I got to do to where I can do that consistently and get back to this, because I miss it. I miss it so much. Oh, thank you, Iro. Because like I pretty much just watch you now because you're typically getting on when I get off work.
Oh yeah.
And I eat dinner, and shoot the shit and fuck with you guys for a bit, and then I go do my thing. Like half the time I don't even say bye to you guys. I just go I'm like, oh, I'm hurt, and then I just go take
Then we
pills.
start talking to you and you're not there.
Yeah, I wonder how many times you guys were like, Rogue, hey, and I'm just completely fucking gone. But yeah, Dom, thank you again. Please go check her out. It's DO30M on here, Insta. I don't know if you care if people follow you on.
Everywhere.
Yeah. So this is my favorite Canadian. She's also the only Canadian I personally know. So you win by default. But thank you for everyone that showed up. I hope if you came in at the end, I'm sorry, but I will be putting this up on my YouTube channel probably in the next couple of days. Thank you, Tyler. I'm happy I'm still here too. But hope you all have a good one. Love each other. Change your perspectives. Try to understand. Y'all have a good one. Bye-bye.